The lights go out, not flickering, not dimming, just dead. And if you're waiting for them to flicker back on with that reassuring electrical hum, you're about to learn what disappointment tastes like. Because this isn't a 20-minute outage where you light some candles and pretend it's romantic. This is the grid eating itself alive. And winter doesn't care about your Netflix subscription or your smart thermostat that's now dumber than a brick. Hollywood sold you a fantasy. They showed you rugged survivors chopping wood with perfect beards, building roaring fires that never smoke, and somehow staying clean while the world burns down around them. The reality is uglier. You're going to smell like a gym sock filled with regret. Your hands will crack and bleed. And that romantic fireplace, it'll smoke you out like a bad barbecue while providing roughly the same amount of warmth as a birthday candle. Here's what actually happens when the power dies in winter. Your house becomes a refrigerator with furniture. Your pipes turn into ice sculptures. And every breath you exhale becomes a little cloud of defeat because your body is now the only furnace in a building designed to leak heat like a sieve. You're not surviving an adventure. You're becoming a professional heat conservationist in a structure that actively hates you. The first thing that's going to try to kill you isn't the cold. It's your own stupidity. Because right now, you're probably thinking about generators and space heaters and all the gear that's going to save you. Wrong. Generators run out of fuel. Space heaters need electricity. And that fancy camping gear you bought, it's designed for weekend warriors, not for people who need to stay warm for months while civilization takes a smoke break. Your body is a furnace that burns about 2,000 calories a day just to keep the lights on. But when it's 20 degrees below freezing and your house is colder than a morgue, that number doubles, maybe triples. And unless you've been stockpiling food like a paranoid squirrel, you're about to discover what it feels like when your own metabolism starts eating you from the inside out. Fun fact, when you're starving and freezing, your body will happily consume your muscle tissue to keep your brain from turning into a slushie. But let's say you've got food. Great. Now you need to cook it without electricity, without gas, and without burning your house down. Welcome to the thrilling world of indoor fire management, where every meal is a controlled explosion and every mistake turns your shelter into a Viking funeral pyre. You're not Bear Grylls, you're a cafeteria worker in the apocalypse, and the health department has permanently closed. The boring truth about winter blackout survival isn't about being tough. It's about being a janitor for your own existence. You'll spend your days managing condensation so your walls don't grow science experiments. You'll become a plumber, fixing frozen pipes with hairdryers that don't work because there's no electricity. You'll turn into a building maintenance specialist, except the building is trying to kill you and your only tools are whatever's in your junk drawer. Water is going to become your obsession, not because you'll run out, but because liquid water stops existing when the temperature drops. Your toilet becomes a porcelain ice sculpture. Your shower turns into a frozen waterfall display. And melting snow for drinking water? Congratulations, you just became a full-time ice farmer with the exciting side job of boiling everything twice because melted snow tastes like whatever the snow landed on. Spoiler alert, it landed on everything gross. The real enemy isn't the cold, it's moisture. Every breath you take adds humidity to your shelter. Every pot of water you boil creates steam. And when that moisture hits the cold walls, it condenses and freezes and turns your home into a damp cave that grows mold faster than you can say hypothermia. You're not just staying warm. You're managing a complex ecosystem where everything wants to rot, freeze, or give you a respiratory infection. But here's the thing about winter blackout survival that no one tells you. It's not about surviving the cold. It's about accepting that you've just become a medieval peasant with a mortgage. This is subsistence living with better insulation. You wake up, you manage your fire, you melt water, you eat something that barely qualifies as food, and then you do it again tomorrow. And the day after that. And every single day until the grid decides to resurrect itself or spring shows up to end your suffering. Your daily routine becomes a monument to tedium. Check the fire every 2 hours or wake up to a house that's colder than a meat locker. Rotate your water containers so they don't freeze solid and burst like grenades filled with disappointment. Venture outside to collect more fuel, which means putting on 17 layers of clothing just to walk 20 feet and grab some sticks that may or may not burn properly. And speaking of fuel, you're about to become a wood detective. Not all wood burns the same. Wet wood creates more smoke than heat and will gas you out of your own home. Pine burns fast and hot, but leaves you constantly feeding the fire like you're tending a hungry toddler. Hardwood burns slow and steady, but takes forever to catch, and you'll waste half your kindling trying to get it started. You're not a lumberjack. You're a fuel efficiency analyst with frostbite. The silence will mess with your head. No humming refrigerator, no forced air heating, no electronic white noise. Just you, the cracking of your fire, and the sound of your own breathing echoing off walls that feel like they're closing in. Your brain, designed for constant stimulation, will start manufacturing entertainment by replaying every embarrassing moment from your childhood and inventing new anxieties about whether that weird noise was the house settling or something trying to get inside. Then there's the smell situation. You can't shower. Doing laundry means heating water over a fire and hand-washing everything like you're reenacting pioneer life. Your clothes will absorb smoke from your heating attempts. Your body will develop its own unique bouquet of unwashed human mixed with wood smoke and desperation. You'll stop noticing it after a week. But if civilization ever returns, people will smell you coming from 3 blocks away. Food preparation becomes an exercise in creative problem solving with a side of potential food poisoning. Your refrigerator is now just an expensive cabinet because everything inside has either frozen solid or spoiled. Canned goods become your best friend, except opening them requires a manual can opener that you hopefully remembered to buy before the apocalypse. Cooking means balancing pots over an open flame while trying not to burn down your shelter or undercook something that will give you dysentery. The bathroom situation deserves its own horror movie. Your toilet doesn't flush without water pressure. Your pipes have turned into ice caves. And when nature calls, you're faced with a choice between using an indoor bucket that will smell like a medieval dungeon or venturing outside to dig a hole in frozen ground with whatever tools you can scrounge up. Either way, toilet paper becomes more valuable than gold, and you'll start rationing it like a strategic resource. Sleep becomes a full-time job. You can't just lie down and close your eyes because your bed is now colder than a morgue slab. You'll spend an hour arranging blankets, positioning hot water bottles, and calculating whether you have enough fuel to keep the fire going through the night, or if you need to set an alarm to wake up and add more wood. Every night becomes a gamble between staying warm and not burning down your shelter while you're unconscious. But here's the real kicker about long-term winter blackouts. It's not the physical discomfort that breaks people. It's the relentless, grinding boredom mixed with constant low-level stress. You can't binge-watch anything. You can't scroll through your phone. You can't even read properly after dark, because candles provide about as much light as a dying firefly. Your entertainment options consist of staring at flames, talking to yourself, or counting how many days it's been since you felt truly warm. The psychological weight accumulates like snow on a roof. Day 1, you're an adventurer roughing it. Day 7, you're a survivor adapting to circumstances. Day 21, you're questioning every life choice that led you to this frozen purgatory. Day 45, you're having conversations with inanimate objects and considering whether that weird stain on the wall looks more like a face or a map of somewhere warmer smear. So there you have it. Winter blackout survival isn't about being a rugged mountain man with a perfect jawline. It's about becoming a full-time janitor for your own miserable existence, while slowly losing your mind in a frozen house that smells like a campfire had a baby with a gym locker. You're not conquering nature. You're negotiating a temporary ceasefire with hypothermia, while your dignity dies a slow death. The movies lied to you. There's no dramatic music when you successfully light a fire with damp kindling. There's no heroic montage when you spend 3 hours melting snow just to have enough water to brush your teeth. There's just you, smelling like a medieval peasant, celebrating small victories like finding a can opener or discovering that your socks are only slightly frozen instead of completely solid. But here's what the gear companies don't want you to know. All their expensive survival gadgets are just shiny distractions from the real truth. The most valuable thing you can have isn't some tactical flashlight or fancy sleeping bag. It's the knowledge crammed between your ears and the patience to do boring things correctly when your life depends on it. Because knowledge doesn't run out of batteries. Skills don't break when you drop them. And the ability to think clearly while everything around you falls apart? That's the only gear that actually matters when the lights go out and they're not coming back on.